Hello, welcome to Bits in Biology. My name's Liz, and today we're going to do something a little different. I've been tagged in a mid-year board game tag by Rolling Reggie to answer 8 questions about board games I've played so far this year. So let's get started. Like I said, I'm going to answer 8 questions about board games that I have played since January 1st of this year. I was tagged by Rolling Reggie. If you haven't checked out his channel, you definitely should. It's one of my favorite channels. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tag 8 creators in the description below. Feel free to comment your answers below. All right, as of right now, I have had 479 plays of 157 different games, and 72 of those were new to me. So question number 1, what is your favorite game so far this year? Well, I've played 4 games that I rate a 10, and I've talked about all those a couple months ago. I think it was the April vlog, and that is A Feast for Odin, Darwin's Journey, Lost Cities, and Ohanami. However, I am going to answer this for games that were new to me this year. So Darwin's Journey is off the list, and what's more, I'm going to restrict it to nature-themed or biology-themed games. And so I narrowed it down to 4. I'm terrible at picking a favorite, and these would be Meadow, Etowah, which I just played for the first time a couple of days ago and loved it, Harmonies, and Aqua Biodiversity in the Oceans. If I have to pick one of those, it's going to be Meadow. Meadow is a tableau building game, and I really like the way that you choose your cards in Meadow. So it's really similar to another game called Quadropolis that I also really like. And the way it works is you have a set of, I think it's 4 markers. They're numbered 1 to 4. And you put those either next to a row or at the bottom of a column, and depending on the number that is on that marker, that determines which card you'll pick up in that row or column. So if it's a number 1, you'll pick up the first card, and so on. And once somebody places their marker for that round, nobody else can place their marker there. Now keep in mind that for the rows, there are 2 sides to a row, but there is only 1 side to the column, so you can only place your marker at the bottom of the columns. And you are building up cards where you can only play cards on top of other cards if they fulfill certain requirements, and thematically it'll make sense. Something like the frog can go on top of an insect, right? Because frogs eat insects. Or you can place a butterfly on top of a flower, because butterflies feed on the nectar. So you have to have the flower before you can have the butterfly, and so on. And I just really love that game. And the art is phenomenal. I just got in the mail not too long ago the downstream expansion, and I'm looking forward to playing that. And that was Meadow. Question number 2. What is my most played game this year? So the game I have played the most is Harmonies with 22 plays. But coming into close second at 21 plays is Waypoints, and not very far behind that is Etowah, which I have played 19 times so far. I really am enjoying that one. Most of my plays for all 3 of these games have been solo, and in fact for Waypoints, I have only played that one solo. Harmonies, with the most plays at 22, is technically a tile placement game, but you're placing these chunky tokens out on your board to fulfill habitat requirements of different animals. And it has a 3-dimensional aspect to it, and those chunky tokens are really satisfying to play with. And the artwork is just beautiful, and it's just a lot of fun to play. And the solo game goes very quick, which explains how I have so many plays of it. Question number 3, what was your biggest surprise? Well, I have 2. Because like I said, I'm horrible at narrowing these things down. So one is a positive surprise and one's a little bit negative surprise. My positive surprise is the game Neuro Riders. And I bought this solely based on the theme and the fact that it didn't have a low rating on BGG. At the time I bought it, it had a rating of 8.2. I'm not sure what it currently is, but that was fewer than 200 ratings at that time, so I'm sure it'll fluctuate around. It was completely an impulse purchase. I was buying something else. It was only $18, and I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't do the usual amount of research that I do. I knew it was a tile laying game, and I know that I like tile laying games, but that's about it. Other than that, it was completely an impulse buy. I didn't know what to expect. And I really enjoyed it. It does not have a solo mode. So I've played it 2 players with my partner, where we take turns laying down tiles, and on those tiles are these what are called neurowriters. So the tiles are representing different parts of the brain, and you are forming memories or investigating memories. I can't quite remember. Anyway, these neurowriters come in 4 different colors, and the way they move will determine scoring on tracks of those 4 different colors. Each player will get a card telling them which tracks they're going to score positive points for and which tracks they're going to score negative points for. And so you don't know what tracks your opponent is scoring. All you know is that the way they lay tiles down is going to influence how these neurowriters move through the brain, right? The tiles that you're laying down. And that will influence the score marker on the tracks. And so I call it a tug of war game because it could happen that I want a positive score for one track, but my opponent wants a negative score for that track. And so you're trying to drag the score up while they're trying to drag it down. And there is a mechanism for negative points on the score tracks. So it's a lot of fun. Plays really quickly. My second biggest surprise was Exploring Galapagos. I had been wanting that game for a while. This is an 18-card game from Button Shy, and I had been wanting it for a while solely because of the theme, right? Galapagos and the artwork. And I'm not really sure what I expected. First of all, it doesn't have a solo mode, which is a little disappointing, but there was something about the play of it. It has potential. It's not a horrible game by any means. It has the potential to be a really great game, or at least a good game. But I would like to see it have a solo mode. I actually think with the mechanisms in the game, the way that it works, the way that you're drafting cards, I think it would actually work really well for solo. So I would love to see a solo mode for that one. But that was Exploring Galapagos. I expected a little bit more than I got with that one. All right, on to question number 4. What game's production or art has impressed you the most? So again, this is just games I've played this year. So I have a couple of subcategories, of course, right? I can't pick a favorite. The biggest surprise to me was Sea Salt and Paper. And that is because just looking at the pictures of it, I actually wasn't a big fan of the artwork. But once I saw it in person, the origami artwork on the cards is really quite charming. And so I really like that one. The card quality is quite good, maybe a little too stiff. They're a little bit hard to shuffle, but it's good card quality. And like I said, the artwork really surprised me in person because I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. The best single component goes to Harmonies. Now I do this with a caveat because there are other components in that game that are not the best quality. The cards could be a little thicker, the player boards could be a little thicker, but those chunky tokens are so satisfying to play with. And so Harmonies gets the single best component award. Overall, if I'm looking at the entire game, it comes out to a tie for best production or best artwork, and that is a tie between Trekking Through History and Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. Both of those have phenomenal artwork. I really like the production quality of Trekking Through History. It has this nice neoprene mat for your main board. And the art on the cards is quite good. And on the back of the cards, there's a little bit about that moment in history. So we have a lot of fun reading those off and learning a little bit as we go through. And the quality of the components is quite good. So that's Trekking Through History. Castles of Burgundy Special Edition, I had backed on Kickstarter, and it's an Awaken Realms production, and it really is a production. They went all out. I only got the 3-dimensional castles. I didn't get the minis for everything else, and I didn't get the acrylic tiles, although they would have been nice. I just didn't think that I would wear it out enough. But that's a great game and phenomenal artwork and just well done overall production value. And the box, while it's huge because it has a lot in it, is actually organized quite well where you can set up a basic game very quickly. So that is Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. As far as new to me and channel relevant games, this would be for best artwork goes to Meadow. And I've already talked about Meadow, so I won't talk much more about that, but the artwork on the cards is phenomenal. Second place goes to On the Origin of Species. I just really love the artwork in that game. I think it's really well done. The production of it is very well done. And the details, right down to the details, they just did a really nice job on that game. Question number 5. What game do you want to get off your shelf of shame, shelf of opportunity the most? And so there are 2 of these. One is nature-themed or science-themed game, and then the other one's definitely not. So one is the Fox Experiment. I've been talking about that for a while. I still haven't gotten it to the table. It's going to happen soon, hopefully within the next week or so. The reason that I want to get this one to the table so badly is it's actually based on an experiment that I'm very impressed with that started in the 50s and was trying to get at answers about the evolution of domestication, specifically in dogs, but it applies to domestication in general. And turned out we learned a lot about the genetics of domestication from that experiment, and it went on for decades. So I'm really looking forward to playing that one. I'm looking forward to recording a video for it, and I will most certainly write a blog post about it. The other game that I want most to get off my shelf of opportunity is Marvel Champions, the card game. I actually got this for my son and my partner to play because I'm not a Marvel fan. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they haven't really played it, and so many people have raved about that game that I really want to give it a try. Plus, I have been watching the Marvel Infinity Saga with my son and a little bit with my partner this past month. So we have watched all the way up through, last night we watched Black Panther. I think tonight is Infinity Wars, something like that. So we've been watching through the Marvel movies. So I now actually feel like I understand something about the characters. So I really want to get Marvel Champions, the card game, to the table and see what all the fuss is about. Question number 6, which game from 3, 5, or 10 or more years ago did you just discover this year? And this goes to Le Havre, which was published in 2008, and I played for the first time this year. This was actually my BGG Secret Santa gift this past Christmas, and I got it to the table pretty quickly after that in early January and really enjoyed it. I have not yet met an Uwe Rosenberg game that I didn't like, and that one is no exception. So Le Havre, that's Le Havre. So before I go on to answering question 7, I want to answer a bonus question, and that is, what has been your most reliable introductory board game? So this is a funny question because I don't actually have a game group. I haven't introduced a lot of people to board games, but I'm going to base this on games that have gone over well with my mom, because before we started playing games over Zoom with her during the pandemic, and then she moved out here to Colorado and plays a game with us every night now because she's moved in with us. She was new to all of this. She used to play cribbage and maybe some other card games, but hadn't really tried modern hobby board games before that. And she's what I would call a reluctant gamer. She doesn't like things that are too complicated. So anyway, so some of the ones that have gone over really well with her, and then also with my partner's mom, who we only play games with her over holidays. So I've got 5 here that I want to mention. 2 of them are nature themed. The first one is Parade, which is a card game with an Alice in Wonderland theme where you have cards laid out in a row that you're adding to, and then based on the number and color of the card you laid down, you're going to take maybe some of those cards from that row and add them to your tableau in front of you. You're trying to get the lowest score, so you're trying to collect the least amount of cards. The next one is Just One, which is a word game where this is a really fun one, and you can play this with a lot of people actually. And this is one where you have a word that everybody except for one person knows, and all of those other people are writing a one-word clue, and there's some rules about that, but they're writing a one-word clue on a small easel, and then the other person comes back to the table and they get to look at all these clues. So the caveat is, if any of these clues are the same, they get erased. They can't be presented. And then there's some other rules that you have to fall in line with. So this is really a quite fun game, and that's Just One. The one that I would probably choose if I was introducing somebody for the first time to, say, a game night or something, would be what I would start with would be No Thanks. So the game starts with the first player turns over the card from the draw deck and decides whether or not they want it. If they don't want it, they'll put a token on it and say no thanks, and it'll go to the next person. If they do want to bring it into their play area in front of them, they'll put it there. The goal is to get the fewest points, and the points are based on the number on the card, and I believe they're numbered 1, 2, it's either 33 or 36, somewhere in there. The trick is that the numbers on the cards will give you points. Those tokens that you have to put on the cards when you say no thanks, those are a negative point, and so they will lower your score. And so let's say that there's 30 and everybody's saying no thanks, but now all of a sudden there's 15 tokens on that card and you're thinking, I could really use those tokens, because once you run out of tokens, you can't say no thanks anymore. So you might decide to take that. And there's some other aspects of Push Your Luck that are a lot of fun for that one, but the rules are really easy. It's a lot of fun. And then the 2 channel relevant ones that I would use as introductory board games to somebody who's brand new, let's say it's a game night and they've never played a modern hobby board game before, I would choose either Micropolis or Cascadia. Cascadia is a little bit borderline, maybe complex, because you have to build up those habitats and then you've got the tokens that go on top of those. However, it's easy to teach. And while it might not be as easy to do well your first time, I think with a little coaching, somebody could do quite well. And it's a very satisfying game when you're building up those habitats and making those patterns with the animals. Micropolis, on the other hand, very easy, very fast. You have some ants, you have tiles, you're drafting tiles from a row of tiles, and you can either take the first one for free, or if you want the second one, you have to put an ant on the first one, and so on. So you have a limited supply of ants. You're placing your tiles in a circle around a central place where your ants go, and you're building up basically these tunnels for the ants. It's an ant's nest. And you're collecting fruits, so there's a little bit of set collection in there, and there's different types of ants that you're counting. There's a few different ways to score points. They're army ants, so there's barracks that you can put them in. Anyway, that's a Bruno Catala game, and it is fantastic. I can't remember the other designer, Charles Chevalier, maybe? I'll put it up on the screen in any case. Anyway, so as far as nature-themed games, I would choose either Micropolis or Cascadia. Micropolis is harder to come by these days. I think it's out of print, so Cascadia would be an easy one to get a hold of. All right, so that was the bonus question. Now we're going to go on to question 7. Question 7 is, what games that are going to be released this year that have not yet been released? What are my top anticipated releases? So I managed to narrow this one down to 5. It started out like a longer list. I told you I'm terrible at these lists. Anyway, the one I'm most looking forward to right now is diatoms. And it's because I love the theme. They're these little single-celled algae that have these, I guess you can call them shells. They're called tests. Structures that make them very beautiful. I'll put a couple pictures up. People make beautiful art out of diatoms with microscopy. Anyway, this is an abstract strategy game. It's a tile laying game, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. It's pattern building, plays 1 to 4 players in 30 to 45 minutes. And in this game, you are collecting diatoms and arranging them onto a slide to build what they call a tiny mosaic, right? Because diatoms are actually microscopic. It's not so tiny in front of you, but it just looks beautiful. According to all the updates that I backed this on Kickstarter, according to all the updates from Kickstarter, the component quality is going to be really good. They're really beautiful, and I think it's shipping soon. I know it's in production, and it's been a little while since they did the first production update, so I'm pretty sure we'll be getting diatoms soon. The second one that I'm really looking forward to is Endeavor Deep Sea. This one has tracks that you're moving up and a chaining element. I can't remember how it works. It's been a while since I've watched a video on it. I definitely did a bunch of research before I backed it on Kickstarter, Game Founder, wherever I backed it. Anyway, it plays 1 to 4 players. This is a heavier game. It takes about an hour to 2 hours to play, so I'll be playing this solo or with my partner and my son. In Endeavor Deep Sea, you head an independent research institute with the goal of developing sustainable projects and preserving marine life. Throughout the game, you're going to recruit field experts, I think this was in the form of cards, and use their abilities to explore new locations, research dive sites, and publish ecological papers and launching conservation efforts. So you're kind of like a conservation researcher. So that is Endeavor Deep Sea. That looks really good. The next one, which I think is shipping really soon, is Wild Gardens. This one won me over on the art alone, but it is a deck building game. I like deck building games. And it has open drafting, which I also like. Plays 1 to 4 players in 90 minutes to 2 hours. And this is a strategy game where you are taking on the role of somebody who is foraging for food, and there are actually recipes in the game, and it just looks phenomenal. The artwork completely won me over on this one. So that's Wild Gardens. The other one, I actually watched a little bit of a playthrough this morning from the Gaming Rules channel, and that is Reef Project. And that actually convinced me that I'm really looking forward to this game. I didn't know much about it before I watched that playthrough. So if you're interested, Gaming Rules has a tutorial and playthrough that you can learn all about it and see how it plays. So it was really good. Anyway, this is an area majority set collection game that plays 1 to 4 players in 45 to 90 minutes. It had a little bit going on. I'm not sure this is one I could play with my mom, but we'll see when it comes out, I guess, because I'm probably pretty much guaranteed to get this one. And so during this game, you're taking on the role of you're an ocean researcher and conservationist, and you're going to sail the ocean, and specifically it is focused on coral reefs, as you might have figured out from the name. And you're hiring crew, you're piloting your boat, and you're putting out these reef balls that can be used in conservation to help build up the reefs. You're cleaning pollution and accomplishing specific missions, so fulfilling specific goals. Anyway, it looked really fun, and that is Reef Project. And then the last one I'm really looking forward to because of the theme and because of the designer. And so this is a game by Elizabeth Hargrave called Undergrove. This is a pick up and deliver and tile placement game, plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 75 minutes. And apparently it was inspired by real mycorrhizal networks, these fungal networks. And so in Undergrove, you are an evergreen tree with an ancient symbiotic relationship with the fungi in the forest. So as new mushrooms appear, your options are going to expand for converting nutrients and helping seedlings to grow up. And so I think the goal of the game is to get the most seedlings. Anyway, Undergrove, the artwork looks phenomenal. I think that it is set in the Pacific Northwest, which is my home region of the country. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So that the 5 that I named for my anticipated releases are Diatoms, Endeavor Deep Sea, Wild Gardens, Reef Project, and Undergrove. And 3 of those I have backed on crowdfunding, and that is Diatoms, Endeavor Deep Sea, and Wild Gardens. I believe Reef Project is actually taking pre-orders right now. So I will be looking into that. And then question number 8 is, what is your personal favorite video that you have posted to your channel this year? This year in February, on Darwin's birthday, actually, February 12th. And so I have 2 favorite videos because, of course, I can't have just one favorite. I'm terrible at that. Just wait for my first top 10 list, right? There's going to be too many honorable mentions. Anyway, my favorite one is the Waypoints play along, because I was really excited about the possibility of this indirect interaction with you all, right? That people might play along and post their scores and maybe come into the Discord and post pictures of their maps. And I just found that really an exciting thing. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite lived up to my expectations. So if you are watching this and you think you might want to play Waypoints, I encourage you to go watch that video and play along. Waypoints is a print and play game that you can get for, it's about $5 US, it's £4, and comes right now with 3 different maps. I think that they are planning to release 2 additional maps, so 5 total. So second favorite video is actually the one that launched the channel, and that is on the Origin of Species, the playthrough. I just really like that game. I love the artwork. I love the solo play, and I just really enjoyed making that video. And again, this was the video that launched the channel, so that's got to be my favorite other than the Waypoints video for this year. As far as my favorite ones to record, those are the vlogs. Those are when I get to talk about the games that I've played and channel news and that sort of thing. So those are a lot of fun to make. But as far as ones that I've released, it would be the Waypoints play along and the On the Origin of Species play along. So I'm going to tag 8 content creators down in the description. And like I said, even if you're not a content creator or you've not been tagged, I encourage you to put your answers to these questions down in the comments. And even if you are a creator who I haven't tagged and you're watching this, I encourage you to do your own video with your answers to these 8 questions. And like I said, this originated with Rolling Reggie, so definitely check out his channel. He's one of my favorites. The first 2 content creators I wanted to mention are very small channels. They don't have many subscribers, but I really enjoy these channels, and so I just wanted to tag them to sort of maybe get the word out, although I don't have that many subscribers either. Actually, so the first one has as many subscribers as I do, and the second one has actually like 3 times as many. So I don't know if I'm all that much of a help. But anyway, the first one is Board Gaming with Konakat, and I just love her energy. She does playthroughs and how to play videos and some unboxings, and she's just really positive and energetic. So I enjoy her channel. The next one are Will and Sarah with Rolling for Two, and this is a channel where they do reviews that are focused on 2-player board games that they play with each other, and particularly Will is vision impaired, and so they focus a lot of their efforts on reviewing games from this standpoint of how accessible are they to somebody who is vision impaired. So I really love that. And they just have really good chemistry and they're fun to watch. So that's Rolling with Two, Will and Sarah. The third creator I would like to tag is Joe Byer with What Does That Piece Do? And I actually have to say this with a caveat. I don't watch a ton of the videos on his channel because a lot of them are games that I'm not necessarily interested in, but I love the premise of his channel. I am subscribed and do occasionally watch the videos when they sort of pop up on my radar as something I might be interested in. But he does specifically historical games, and the way I found his channel was by looking up Votes for Women when I was thinking about backing that on Kickstarter. And so I really like what he does over there. Does a good job. The fourth one is somebody I recently discovered, and I don't even know his name because I don't think he does his name at the start of his videos. So if you're watching this, what's your name? And that is Neon Gorilla. Phenomenal editing skills he has. And he does reviews and very thoughtful, intelligent commentary on board game topics, and just really good production quality, very a fun personality, intelligent sort of fun personality. So definitely check him out. That's Neon Gorilla. Another channel that I really like, and this is kind of funny because we don't necessarily overlap all that much on the games that we play, but I just love his personality, and that is Life of a Board Gamer. This is Daniel with Life of a Board Gamer. And he does reviews and some giveaways, and I just really like his conversational style, and he's funny, and so check him out. The next one, Carl with Purple Moose Plays. He does solo playthroughs, occasional reviews, and occasional top 10 lists, but mostly solo playthroughs. And then the last 2 are actually quite big channels. They need no help at all. And the past few actually have over 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. But the last 2 are just channels that I really enjoy, and I think that both of them might have fun with this tag. So on the off chance that they see it and they can fit it into their schedule, I would be tickled pink for them to answer these questions. And that is Danny at Board Game Sanctuary, where he does reviews, comparisons, lists, commentary on board game topics, and little skits that are quite fun. Anyway, he's fantastic. He was one of the first channels I discovered on YouTube, actually many years ago. And then the last creators I would like to tag are Sunniva and Johannes at Board Gaming Ramblings. They are so funny, great chemistry, entertaining mix of playthroughs, reviews, top 10 lists. Basically, they do it all, right? They recently did a really fun set of videos that was called Guess the Component Challenge, where they blindfolded first Johannes, then Sunniva, and gave them a component. The other one would give them a component, and they had to guess what game it was from. It was really amusing to watch. Anyway, those are the 8 content creators. I will tag them down in the description, and like I said, I would love for you guys to also answer the questions down in the comments if you so want to do. And I hope you enjoyed that. It was really fun answering those questions. Thank you so much to Rolling Reggie for tagging me in this mid-year board game tag. It was a lot of fun to record this video. I hope you have just as much fun watching it. Thanks and goodbye.